I need help. I need to renovate my shop. It has never really worked very well. I made 5 roll-around cabinets, and that's all good and everything, but I don't roll them around, and it just makes for dust collection between and behind and under. I made these 2 cabinets with these drawers. I forget where they came from. And they work marginally, but then again, they roll around so they get dirt behind them and everywhere. This top does not match this top. And this saw I do not like at all because it goes back so far that it ends up sticking out too far. I can't really justify getting a new miter saw, but I might get one anyway. One that accordions and I can push it back. My dust collection for that miter saw is over here, and it comes in the bottom, and it doesn't work worth a flip. My dust collection for the joiner works very good. It catches everything. Comes down here. My dust collection for my table saw, pretty marginal. Doesn't work very well. My dust collection for the thickness planer, 100%. Catches everything. And the dust collection for the sander and the bandsaw, so-so. And the dust collection for this thickness sander actually works 100%, thank goodness, because this would put out a huge amount of fine dust. So, I don't know what to do. I think the first step would be to get a different miter saw, and then throw all this stuff away and start over and actually buy some plywood, which I don't usually do, but I could. And I don't need these windows because now there's a shed back there, so they don't put out much light. I need this window because that's the one the cat comes and goes in. That's the cat door, but I could shrink it. These 2 exhaust fans work, and I use them when I sand right here. I could close in this window, that wouldn't hurt anything. I got these nice stainless steel electrical switches that have been here for 11 years untouched, which is kind of sad. I got the little dust collector on the floor so I can sweep stuff into it theoretically, but I don't use that. I got this little cubby for router bits, and it actually works okay. It's pretty handy. You can put a lot of little stuff in here. My dust collection. This works good. I got a lid. It just springs shut. I got the little glasses so I can see when it's filling up with sawdust if I look. This little, what do you call this? The dust deputy works. Almost all the chips go here. The air goes now outside. And if I forget to, if this gets too full, the chips just go outside. Don't hurt anything. Up here, I got storage for all kind of junk, and I actually use that. This works because I keep all my scraps because I do so many little things for Debbie as far as making block mold forms and stuff like that. I'm constantly pulling little strips and using them up. So yeah, so that's part of my problem is I don't throw anything away because as soon as I do, I regret it. I keep the wood chips, scraps for making fires in the country. I don't know. This is just, I gotta do something. I think that's gonna be my next project. Anybody got any ideas? I do have these overhead cabinets, which I do use. They're not super efficient, but I do use them. Sandpaper, these are my clamps. That's kind of open right now, not always. This is my glues and fillers and stuff. I use this. This one's kind of dead. I put my my hand planes in here, which I don't use very often. I got an old router that still works, but the chuck, you got to do it with pliers because the chuck's screwed up. I do use the porta band every now and then. And this is the router that goes in the router table, which is here. And I don't use it very often. So I do use this little cubby for my electrical tools. I shove them in there. It's not very organized, but it's what I use. This welder machine here that I don't use, I bought it to make some braces that went in the back of one of Debbie's big sculptures. And since then, it's just been sitting in the dust. It's probably not good for it. Okay, guys and girls, I think I have a couple of girls. This is pretty intimidating. I've been looking at this for quite a few days, and I want to redo this whole wall, and it's a big job. Plus I want to get a new miter saw, which is not going to be inexpensive. I want to close in those windows, which do me no good whatsoever, except for some ventilation, which I will address differently. Man, I don't know. It's a big job, but I'm going to start out with little bitty steps by working on this workbench. This workbench is going to be here forever. I move it a foot either way. Once in a while, it's very heavy. It doesn't move easily. And this end has a little toolbox, which I use every day of the year. It's got my chisels, it's got my marking tools, it's got some cutting tools. So that's going to stay there. The only thing I might do differently is close it in to prevent all this dust. And just now I was looking under here and I found these rollers for fiberglass. And if I would have needed these things, I would have just bought some more because I didn't know they were there. But anyway, I want to take my vise down. Now I do use my vise regularly, so I can't like put it too far away. I want to build some kind of drawer here for stuff. That'd be kind of a simple project. It'll help control dust, and it'll just be a little bitty step. And then this is the work table. It's not going anywhere. It's heavy as all get out. And it has right now electrical doodads, which I use once in a blue moon. And I would like to put drawers here for my power tools, which I use every day. Now, one problem is it goes up and down. So anything I put on the bottom could get crushed, so it can't be too tall. You see, it goes down this far. And I have mechanical here, and I have a chain that runs around the perimeter, so I can't build anything permanent. It's gonna have to be modular so I can get it out in case something breaks. But yeah, so this is gonna be the second project. First project, fairly small. Second project, a little bit bigger. Get the power tools off of this little shelf. Get rid of this little shelf. And then I don't know what, but that's where we're gonna start. Okay, we're starting out my new project, cutting up a very old piece of plywood. This was the original tabletop from my 1971 Grand Banks. It's just been hanging around here forever. It is mahogany plywood with formica on it, so it's a good piece. And then I cut up the new piece of plywood that I purchased, but I've used it when I painted my exterior doors to seal them up for a few days, you know, while I worked on each door. So we're starting out with using secondhand lumber, which is what I kind of didn't want to do. It's in my gene pool, I can't help it. Gonna have two drawers in this little bitty cabinet. I got all the parts cut out, so now I need to plow a joint for the bottom. And I'm gonna use 3/8 plywood because I have it, and because this may have heavy stuff in it, so it probably needs a little more than just 1/4 inch, which is kind of standard. So since I have them all cut, I can change the blades and put my dado blade on there and plow all the joints at the same time. And I think I have it set the right thickness, but I'll do a little test piece and try it out. I bought this dado set on eBay a long time ago, but it is so sharp. It's just a pleasure to use once you get it set up right, because it just glides through wood and just chews it up without any vibration or anything. It's nice. Okay, got my first little mess up here. I had planned on setting this plywood back so I could put a solid wood to hide the plywood grain. And I had planned on the drawer front of this bottom drawer from hanging all the way down to hide this plywood grain. And I didn't cut it like that. It's cut just like the other drawer, so it's gonna sit on top. So the bottom piece is the formica covered tabletop. I just have the formica down. So this end's nailed. I'm gonna turn it around, nail this end. So I'm getting ready to glue and nail the back to the carcass part of the drawer unit. And I'm sorry guys, but this white plywood that I'm using is from the demo house that went into the cabin bathroom that just got taken out of the cabin bathroom because I remodeled it. And now it is going into my new no expense spared shop remodel. I can't help it. It's the way I am. All right, we have a box, no top yet, but it fits in the hole. Wanted to kind of check that before I got too far. This will be this much less square footage of the shop that will accumulate sawdust. So this is, even if I don't use the drawers, this will be a little bit of an improvement. So let's get it out, let's sand. I put hardwood on the face, cover the plywood. We'll sand it a little bit and we'll fit the drawers. Put the drawers together. I'm gonna cut a little dado in the four fronts just to make this joint between the side and the front a little stronger. Won't take but a second. It'll make the drawer a little shorter than I figured, but I hadn't cut the bottom yet, so it's a non-event. All right, we're gonna put the little drawer together, 3 sides, and then we'll measure and cut the plywood and slide it in and then put the last side in. And the big drawer, I'm gonna have to rip it shorter because of that problem with the front that I didn't overlap, that I didn't allow for overlap, so it's gonna be too tall the way it is. Here, you can look at my armpit. You probably don't want to do that. Okay, let's cut some plywood. So we'll put a 1/4-inch spacer beneath the drawer, 1/4-inch spacer over the door, and if I want a 1/4-inch at the top, I'm gonna have to rip this to like 8 1/16, so that all 4 pieces of the top drawer I gotta rip down. Just need to make sure I rip the top and not the bottom. Okay, so the drawer glides I had on the shelf are kind of short. They're 14s. I really need 22s. I want this thing to come way out, and this is as far as it'll go with the 14s. For one thing, it's already underneath here 4 or 5 inches. So yeah, I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna I know I could swap them out in place, but doing that up underneath here would be pretty challenging. Doing it up here is pretty easy. So I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna take these off and I'm gonna sand, and we'll put a coat of paint on everything until I can get the correct drawer glides. I made this thing. It's got 3 sides. This side's set back because the screws for the vise protrude into the area above this drawer unit. And I'm putting this up here. So right now it's kind of inconsequential, but if I get my dust collection on my table saw working well, and I stop using the belt sander in here, which is a big cause of all this dust, I'm putting these little wedges just to keep it from bouncing around, because I do beat on the tabletop or this workbench top. I thought this might kind of keep it in place, and still I can just yank it out of there if I ever need to get it out. So I did that because I was waiting on glue to dry one of the drawers. All right, we got them painted this funky color because my wife bought 2 quarts for the doors in our house, and it's not, it's satin, so we didn't use it. So I got a lot of paint. Drawer glides at Home Depot are 27 bucks a pair. Amazon, 10 bucks a pair. So I'm gonna wait a few days. I'm gonna put the boxes down here, get them out the way, and I'm gonna start cleaning out and under here and seeing what we can do here. I have a serious issue with collecting or not throwing things away, but come on, man. This is a cast iron, the bottom half of a kettlebell I cut off for my neighbor. His kettlebell was too heavy. You can't throw that away. I mean, come on, that's irreplaceable. This is an aluminum handrail bender for our old houseboat that I fabricated. You just put the handrail in there and put a softener pad right there and crank it down and it'll bend it. I can't throw that away. Shoot. I got a bucket of round tiles. What you do with that? Kids might have a ball with this one. Actually, the kids used to play with this all the time. They kind of outgrew it. I can't throw that away. And this is special. This is a box of eyeglass parts. What the heck? Can't throw that away. Now these are 2 quarts left over from the center console build of polyester resin, and for some reason they're still liquid. Usually this stuff goes bad. It's 4 years old. I'm not going to use it. I can't throw it in the garbage. I probably should have put it outside in the sun and maybe it'll get hard. I can throw that away. So this is kind of showing off a little bit, but since I'm working under the table, I want to pick it up as high as I can just so the old man doesn't have to bend down quite so far. I keep hoping some vendor's going to give me or lend me one of those track saw things to try out on my YouTube channel, but apparently I'm not the kind of guy they're looking for. So I'm cutting out, this is going to be the base that's going to get ripped in half for the 2 drawer units that are going to go underneath the elevating work table. Maybe I could get a sponsorship from an reading glass company. I could do that. So there's going to be 2 units under the table. Each unit is going to have 2 drawers. They're going to be on opposite ends of the table. And this is the separator. It's going to go in the center. And it needs to be pretty strong because it's a long span. It's going to tie in with the sides to kind of make this thing pretty rigid. So I'm using pocket screws to help me get it straight. And I got a board clamped on the back to make sure that after I put the pocket screws in, it stays where it's supposed to stay. So this is the second bottom carcass thing. The first bottom carcass thing I put together already, and it's in place. I used pocket screws for this middle partition. I wanted to get it pretty straight. I thought it'd be a little more accurate than shooting gun nails. And I glued a little strip across this one and the other one because the measurement I measured and the measurement I cut apparently were not the same thing. I was consistent though, they're both off the same amount, but I glued that on there, and luckily that's going to be fine in this situation, and it won't be the last time I make a bad cut on this deal. So I'll put the sides on it. I'll put one side on it. The other side has to be notched for the middle. I can put one side on it and we'll put it into place. All right, time to make some drawer boxes. Executive decision, all 4 of these drawers are going to be the exact same size. I think I have enough smaller drawers. I want to keep these drawers bigger. So I got all the parts cut out, used all the rest of my scrap and most of a brand new sheet. So now I need to cut the joint on both sides of the front where the side comes in, the fronts and the backs. And then after that's done, I need a plow for the bottoms, and then we can put them together. And I don't have the drawer slides yet, but may get them tomorrow. So typical drawer slides are a 1/2 inch wide, so there's one on each side. The drawers need to be 1 inch narrower than the box they're going to fit in. Not 15/16 or the drawer will bind, and not 1 1/16 or to be sloppy. They need to be 1 inch. So these are my fronts and my backs, and they are 1 inch. So when I cut this joint for the sides to come in, it needs to be accurate so the sides flush out with this end of this front panel. The depth of the joint's not so important, but the width of it, it needs to be right on. So I'll practice on some scraps before I start cutting. Putting the big drawers together with just glue and gun nails. Now these drawers are shorter than the first pair I did, so they require shorter drawer glides. The other drawer glides came almost overnight, and these have been a week and they're not here yet. So I'm kind of stuck on these drawers. Once I put them together and paint them, I'm kind of stuck. I just have to wait for the drawer glides to come. I just finished 4 drawers. I made all the parts. That's 20 different parts, nailed them together, and they all fit. That's pretty good for me. I have no drawer glides, so I guess after lunch we'll paint them, just to have them painted. All right, first box of drawer glides has arrived. I don't know why I got so many. I hope I use them all. But these are for these drawers, so I can have 2 functioning drawers if these will fit. Oh my goodness. I'm gonna be able to put some crap. I'm gonna be able to get organized now. Look at that. 1 down, 1 to go. So for the second one, I'm just gonna, these are my spacer plywoods. I'll put the plywood here and here. We'll put the drawer glide directly on that. And we'll put the drawer directly on that too. And pull it out and screw it. And that should leave us a little crack at the top. I've checked the rule book and I haven't found anything that says the tops of these have to be a whole sheet of plywood. Or I haven't found anything that said half of it can't be melamine and half of it can't be walnut veneer plywood. So we're legit ready to put it back in the hole and screw it down tight and start looking at trim for the front. Okay, this is my progress. I got both drawers working. I had a lot of trouble with this top drawer. I ended up changing out the slide. I think there was something wrong with the other slide. Now it's working pretty dang good. I put some faces on the drawers. This is just, I don't know, like 5/16 plywood. And I lined it up and I shot a little nail here and a little nail there just to hold it steady. And I drilled for the hardware. I actually have matching hardware because this is what's in my kitchen. And I bought a bunch of it. So I got the whole stroke full of hardware. So now I'm gonna take them off and put some glue between this and this, sand the edges, put some paint on it. And when it goes back to next time, that's gonna be it, I think. I might put a little strip of wood across the top just to kind of finish it up. Really, I don't know, won't hurt anything, won't do anything, but I might do that. Another new day, they just keep rolling around, clamped up overnight. We'll take the clamps off, we'll round these edges off a little bit and put some paint on here and put the drawers in. That'll be a done deal. Hallelujah, first 2 drawers are finished. Drawer hardware is in. The face is kind of Yankee, but it doesn't do anything except it's strictly cosmetic because the drawer closer absorbs the impact. It doesn't let this like slam like an old wooden drawer. So that's good. I'm not sure what I'm gonna put in them yet, but I have a dust-free little area under the workbench. So I want to take these 2 carcasses out and put lids on them. I can't do it in place. And they're real awkward because when you slide them a little bit and they fall off the, the support on the far side, they get in a bind and they're heavy and they're going to get heavier. So I thought if I'd lower it down closer to the floor, I could use my floor jack and then kind of roll it out. And in fact, it worked pretty good. So I pulled it out enough to put the dust covers on I call it the high side because I didn't cut this side down. And no problem, just used up whatever scrap I had because it's not really structural. It's just to keep dust out of well, it is structural because it keeps the plywood vertical. You see I have that long clamp on there because they weren't standing straight up in the air. And I pulled them straight and this thing keeps it kind of square. I didn't realize that I can't do the same for the other side because of the step down for the mechanical. It will not slide out the other side. So I ended up pulling the whole thing out from this side and doing the other side lids, the lower lids on the floor, and then putting the whole contraption back in the hole. So by this time both halves of this drawer unit are screwed together, so it's just one big old chunky drawer unit. It makes it a little harder to move around, but it also makes it stabler when you get it in there. So now I still don't realize that I have to take it out from the other side. I'm putting it back into place. And that C-clamp, having a handle, having something to grab onto is huge. It made it kind of easy. I probably could have done it without the jack. So now the whole thing's on the floor, and I'm putting the dust tops or the tops on the low side, and it was not a problem once I figured out what I had to do. It barely clears the under deck obstruction with this plywood on there, but it should clear it. I measured it 2 or 3 times. I even power planed it down a little bit to make sure we had some clearance, but it'll go back no problem. Okay, the 4 drawer fronts are glued and clamped and screws, and I actually had 24 matching flathead screws. Pretty cool. And it is like really hot out here. This is going to dry real fast. Okay, I got my 4 drawers installed. Everything is lovely. I just need a piece of trim to go across the top to keep some of the dust out. And I got to decide what to put in these drawers, because if I just have a bunch of drawers and a bunch of stuff on the floor, that doesn't do me any good. When I didn't paint it, I put 2 coats of that water-based varnish on it, just because the plywood all matched and I had the water-based varnish. So my drawers on this table are finished. Just need to load them up. Put the little dust board across the top. Everything's lovely. They're very empty. They don't do me any good empty. I need to figure out what I'm gonna put in them. So yeah, that's gonna be the end of this video. I have made progress across the room, but that's a whole different video. So thanks for watching.